Hello, beautiful human being. I'm talking about you and me and all of us. Hi. Thank you so much for dropping by this video. To anyone who's new to this channel is about learning the difference between Advaita Vedanta, actual non-duality, and Neo-Advaita, or fake non-duality, and to recover from the very harmful effects of Neo-Advaita. If you'd like to learn more, you can check out my website, which is in the chat box or posted below. So, I've shared a little bit about this before, but I feel really inspired to share today about why I'm not a Neo-Advaita teacher, because it was very close, and I sure wanted to be a Neo-Advaita teacher. I didn't know it was Neo-Advaita at the time. Hi to my live viewers. So, I've had a variety of spiritual experiences, and then I discovered Neo-Advaita, which I thought was actual Advaita. And I had many moments of being like, whoa, this is it. I've got it. Like, I am consciousness, and da-da-da, just kind of the regular stick of like, I am the witness. And I would have these moments of seeing that very clearly. And then that would fade. And sometimes it would fade. Sometimes it would turn into suffering. But there were I can't even tell you how many times I thought I'm enlightened or I'm done. I've achieved. Oh, creative schmuck. Thanks for saying hi. Yes, wow, very touched by your comment. There are many times where I thought I'm enlightened. And I also thought like, wow, I'm going to devote my life to this. And wow, I'm going to teach people. Ah, welcome, Daniela. I'll share a little bit more about your two comments in a moment. I can't even tell you how many times I thought, I'm enlightened, I'm done. I've seen this. I've seen the truth. However, I didn't know it at the time. I knew that something was not right in myself and my personality, because I suffered a lot, and nothing that I tried really worked. And that's why I was turning to non-duality, to try and solve that suffering. And what I know now is that I have something called complex PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And it's a little different than standard standard PTSD. What it means is my nervous system is constantly moving towards freaking out. Like every moment of every day, it's almost like my nervous system is in like fifth gear or maybe fourth gear. It's just constantly moving in a direction towards literally freaking out, fight or flight. And it's like my nervous system doesn't know how to rest. And so because of this, I would constantly have major suffering. Complex PTSD is a very difficult psychiatric condition. But if I didn't have that, because then I would go into like really deep suffering, like really deep. But if I didn't have that, I would have continued to believe I was enlightened, and I would have become a Neo-Advaita teacher. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this to share my understanding of how Neo-Advaita works. Neo-Advaita works like this. Someone studies Neo-Advaita, and they think it's non-duality, and they practice a little bit, they do a little self-inquiry, and then they go, oh my gosh, I am the self. I am the witness. And then they go, oh my gosh, I've got it. I'm enlightened. I'm free. And it becomes a belief system. So I had very strong evidence that disproved that belief system. Like Well, I'm actually not enlightened because I am suffering big time. But someone who doesn't have something like complex PTSD, they wouldn't have anything to challenge their belief system. Most Neo-Advaita teachers don't hang out with genuine spiritual teachers, because a genuine spiritual teacher would you be like, you're not enlightened. Like, you're not enlightened, go sweep the floor, like, go back to basics. So they're caught in this delusion, and there's no evidence to really challenge it. And then at a certain point, they start teaching, and other people are like, wow, you're so wise, or wow, that's the truth. And so they get evidence that seems to prove their delusion. And then, of course, if they don't have major psychological issues, then they're mostly at peace. And the moments they're not at peace, they find some complicated word game to justify it. So, I've spent a lot on this channel. I've been kind of angry sometimes at Neo-Advaita teachers, but I'm starting to understand, because it almost happened to me. So, welcome to Daniela. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them. Creative Schmuck wrote, hello, love your channel. Thank you. Jai Shankaracharya Gurudev Ji, which is a beautiful and poetic way of offering respects to Adi Shankara, the first, you could say, formal non-duality teacher, or the teacher who formalized non-duality, actual non-duality. All right, great. Daniela said, what teachers are you referring to? Yes, thank you. Thank you, Daniela. So Daniela is basically asking, well, how do you determine? So let me put it this way, Daniela, what this channel is dedicated to is helping people to determine who are the actual non-dual teachers and who are Neo-Advaita. So there's some telltale signs. The easiest sign is they don't have a legitimate teacher. Most of the people teaching non-duality today don't have a legitimate teacher. They went through the process that I just described and are like, I'm enlightened, and they just started teaching. So another telltale sign is they get up and give talks, and they just talk and talk and talk and talk about non-dual subjects. You are consciousness. There's nothing to do. There is no doer. There is no free will. The world isn't real. Just practice self-inquiry. Some of them say just practice self-inquiry. Some of them say don't even practice self-inquiry. So it's kind of this repetitive talk on the same topics. The way to the only way to really be able to determine the difference is to study some actual non-duality. And there's two great easy ways to do that. Well, there's one easy way and one not so easy way. One easy way is to read the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is the essence of the teaching. And what you'll very quickly see is that it covers a wide range of topics. And Neo-Advaita teachers don't know about those topics, and they actually attack those topics. Another way is to read the book by Adi Shankara called The Crescent Jewel of Discrimination. It's the essence of the non-dual path. And Ramana Maharshi himself said that that book contains the direct path. That one's a little denser. It's a little harder to read. But what you'll see very quickly is that what's in that book and what's talked about in most satsangs is completely different. My third recommendation is, and this is on my website, is there's a teacher named James Schwartz who had a legitimate guru, and he wrote a book called The Essence of Enlightenment, where he presents the full spectrum of non-duality. So the thing is Neo-Advaita teachers only teach a very small part of non-duality. They don't talk about karma, reincarnation. They don't talk about karma yoga. And that's another great way, is if the teachers put down bhakti yoga, the path of devotion, they're almost certainly a Neo-Advaita. Ramana Maharshi encouraged it, and Ramana Maharshi lived bhakti yoga. So it requires a little bit of education. It requires a little bit of education. And I've started to create a course on my website called Neo-Advaita 101 that gives an overview. It's sadly, it's a deep topic. My contention is 95% of the people who say they're teaching non-duality aren't. And I think that's probably a conservative estimate, because new teachers pop up every day. Creative Smuck asked, are you a follower of Advaita Vedanta or other schools of Vedanta as well? I primarily follow Achinta Beta Beta. Right now, I've been exploring Achinta Beta Beta and Vashishta Advaita. And I've talked a little bit on this channel about Vashishta Advaita. And the short version is, when we talk about me, world, God, there's three answers to what's the relation, three basic answers. We are completely separate. That's duality. We are one and the same, no separation. That's non-duality. That's Advaita Vedanta. Or we're intimately related, yet there is some distinction. That's Vashishta Advaita or Achinta Beta Beta, qualified, various types of qualified non-duality. And that's what I currently follow. I'll get back to you in a moment, Creative Schmuck. Daniela, I started my path in non-duality reading Ramana Maharshi. I find teachers like Delano and Adyashanti useful, but in the end, it's about not worshiping and projecting and listening to ourselves. So the thing is, Daniela, there's two things. One thing is, most of the things written, most of the books about Ramana Maharshi are heavily edited. They've been edited by people who have kind of a Neo-Advaita orientation. If you want to read Ramana Maharshi, I would suggest Day by Day with Bhagavan, which is one of the most unedited books on Ramana. And you'll see that in that he talks about everything. What happens is people just take the parts they like, and then they put that together, and then they publish a book about Ramana, and it gives an inaccurate representation of what he actually taught. So in terms of the two teachers you mentioned, in general, I don't talk about specific teachers on this channel unless I feel a need to. What I will say is non-duality, actual non-duality, you need to do it with a guru. You cannot do it on your own. And that's actually one of my definitions of Neo-Advaita, is trying to do non-duality on your own. It's a very delicate process. Non-duality is a complete reorientation of your identity, of your relationship with the world, of your relationship with desire, your relationship to your feelings, the meaning of life. It's like intimate soul surgery. It's not something, you can't do it on your own, unless Ramana said only the rarest, a very rarefied soul doesn't need a guru. But other than that, it's part of the non-dual. See, here's one thing that differentiates actual non-duality from Neo-Advaita. Actual non-duality says you need a guru. Ramana Maharshi taught this, Adi Shankara. You absolutely need a guru according to actual Advaita Vedanta. Neo-Advaita is like, go to a satsang, read a book, inquire, everything will be okay. Actual non-duality is like, this is a delicate process and you need guidance. So let's see. Love the participation. Thank you, everyone. Creative Schmuck wrote, the Bhakti path is followed vehemently by the four main Shankarcharyas in India today. So the Shankarcharyas are, that's a complex subject, but the four main actual non-dual teachers, it's a whole organization it's structured, and they all practice bhakti. And I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised, because Adi Shankara, the founder of Advaita Vedanta, he heavily promoted bhakti, whereas Neo-Advaita kind of puts it down or like tolerates it, like, oh, we'll do a little kirtan. But bhakti is an essential part. Bhakti means devotion, an essential part of the actual. Advaita is really just heady, but actual non-duality includes the body, heart, and mind. It includes the body through the practice of karma yoga, the heart through bhakti, and the mind through jnana yoga. It's an integral path. Anton said, could the healthy middle ground be... Daniela, the book that's not edited, heavily edited, is Day by Day with Bhagavan. In fact, I'll give you a PDF right now. And you're going to be shocked when you read it, because it's completely different. It's completely different from what we've encountered in satsang. Night and day. And I just want to, night and day. So, and I agree, Daniela, there are genuine teachers out there. It's just hard to find them on YouTube. Anton said, could the healthy middle ground of spirituality be that we recognize and honor our separate selves, and at the same time realize we have this shared being underneath one or the other? So that's a beautiful point, Anton. So one answer is that in traditional Advaita, see, Neo-Advaita is all about there is no self, you don't exist, da-da-da-da-da. But that's not what actual non-duality teaches. It's very nihilistic. Neo-Advaita is very nihilistic. Actual non-duality teaches, see, Neo-Advaita is like, there is no person, or destroy the person. Actual non-duality says you're not the person. It doesn't say the person doesn't exist. It doesn't say to destroy the person. It says you're not the person. You're not the personality. That's what Advaita Vedanta teaches. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So Advaita Vedanta is just one school of philosophical thought in India. It's not the only one. There are other schools, which I've mentioned, Vishishta Advaita, or qualified non-duality, and Achinta Beta Beta, which I forget the meaning of Achinta Beta Beta. Maybe you know, Creative Shtamak. I believe it's distinction yet oneness. Teaches more what you're saying, Anton, a both and, that we are distinct and yet we are in communion and part of. So that's more of a personal preference and wherever you feel drawn. Yeah, Daniela, that's the need for a guru in traditional Advaita Vedanta. It's I can't even tell you. It's it's so harmful for someone to teach non-duality and not be able to properly fulfill the guru role. It's such a delicate, intense process. So I'm glad that was helpful. Creative Schmuck has just recommended two Indian teachers who teach Advaita Vedanta, teach traditional Advaita Vedanta. On my website, I've already I already recommend Swami Sarva Priyananda. I don't know if I listed him or not. I meant to. I have a very good feeling about Swami Sarva Priyananda, and I've heard of. Thank you. I can't remember whether I've listed that on my website or not, but I want to. So let me see here. I think I've listed Swami. I think I've listed one of them already. Yes, I already have listed Swami Sarva Priyananda, and I will add in the other one. Ah, beautiful. Oh, I have found Swami. I have a good feeling about him as well. Swami Tadat Mananda. I've seen him. Yeah. So to see, Neo-Advaita is like exciting and sexy. Like, just inquire, or you're already free, or um, you know, there's nothing to do. Like, it's like this boom, boom, boom. Traditional Advaita Vedanta is more of a slow, gradual process. And so these teachers, and thank you, I would love to list Swami Tatmananda. It's a much more like Neo-Advaita is like this like explosive fireworks, like just inquire, or there is no you, and it creates short-term results, right? Like in the short term, you'll have a big spiritual experience, but it won't last, and it won't be sustainable. Thank you for those recommendations, Creative Schmuck. All right, beautiful souls. Well, I really appreciate everyone's input and questions. Once again, I'm going to post my website, which has all sorts of resources, and now there's, thanks to Creative Schmuck, there's going to be one more resource. Creative Schmuck, you're very welcome. Thanks for your input. You had some really great input and information. Daniela, thank you for your questions and your input. I'm not, and I just want to be so clear, I'm not putting down non-duality. I'm putting down fake non-duality and helping people learn to differentiate between the two. Anton, beautiful, beautiful comment. That's what I found personally. What I found, what Anton wrote about the middle ground. I went really far down the Neo-Advaita hole. So what I find really helpful is the philosophies that the both and, the one and distinct that Anton talked about. So all right, beautiful souls, take care. If you want to join my mailing list, there's a link on my website, and I thank everybody for your input, your questions, and your thoughts. Have a blessed day.